Hi everybody, it's David Fleming here from the Toronto Realty blog, and welcome to this week's Pick 5. Now, you may have noticed that we didn't actually do a Pick 5 last week. What can I say? I promised you I would do one from Idaho, but I did not. I did not find the time because having a wife and child is far more complicated than I thought. It's true. And why am I only learning this now? Well, because I'm addicted to work and I'm always in this office. And then you go away on vacation and you're with your wife and kid all day and you're like, oh my God, my wife's a superhero because this is what she does all the time. And lo and behold, you don't have time to, sit down in front of a computer and film a video for 2 hours. So sorry about last week, but you know what? It was a good trip. We had a lot of fun. I guess parents, you tell me, does it become all about the kid? It really was like Maya's vacation. She had a lot of fun from the minute we got on the airplane.
Find you another seat. Thank you, and welcome aboard.
Hey, Dad.
Come to think of it, she had fun in the airport. And then eventually she got to explore the property a little bit. I think she enjoyed that. And she did do a little shopping. And let me think, what else? She definitely ate ice cream like every single day. And last but not least, first ever slice of pizza. So anyways, it was a great trip. I did work as much as I could. TREB and the Competition Bureau settled their differences, of course, while I was away. But the market was pretty slow, and it continues to be slow, and that's why this is the last Pick 5, I think. Yes, the last Pick 5 before Labor Day. And so without a glut of properties to review, and I've basically been doing this throughout August because there's just not enough stuff, I figured I would go back to another theme. And if you read today's topic, you will see, I think it's kind of a cool theme. It's called, How in the World Do You Price That? Now, what is that about? How in the world do you price that? If you're looking at a one-bedroom condo, Unit 1301, and let's say you can look up the comp for 1501. Whether it sold last year or last week, you could probably come up with a pretty close valuation. Now, what about things that just may push away 99% of the buyer pool? How in the world do you value that? How do you put a value on that? So that's what I wanted to talk about today. Today I found 5 properties that are all, for the most part, in awkward locations. All of them in pretty good locations overall, but specifically in an awkward location, either because it's on a main street, or because it's too close to a main street, or as you will see, well, it's pretty much running along that theme. So let's take a look at our map. And as you can see, they're pretty much all centrally located. Now, for those of you that are already thinking ahead, number 5, you can see, oh my God, is it on the DVP? Did someone build a house like off the exit? Almost. So let me jump right into it here, guys. So the first house we're looking at is 726 Eglinton Avenue East. So you hear Eglinton Avenue, right away you know, yes, that's a main street. Eglinton Avenue. Would you want to live on Eglinton Avenue? Well, it really depends. And for some people, you might not actually be living on here, but let's come back to that in a minute. So 726 Eglinton Avenue. Here you can see it's on the main drag, and Eglinton's kind of a mix. This is essentially in Leaside. Eglinton's a mix of houses, and then as you get down here, you start to see between Laird and Sutherland, it's all commercial retail. Now, because I can't really do much without going off on a long tangent, I'm going to do exactly that now. My barber was here, Leo. I think it was called Le Mans Barbershop. And in 1986, it burned down. It was very sad. Sorry about that. I was on a ski trip, first time I'd ever skied. I was in Whistler. I know, tough life, right? First time you've ever skied. My dad took me away at 6 to ski, which is basically like when he bought me a Meccano set at 2. And then I got back and my mom told me, I'm really sorry, I have bad news. Leo's barbershop burned down. Apparently there was a grease fire at the restaurant next door and they all stood and watched it go up in flames. And so there was an empty lot here that was empty, honest to God, for a decade. And that's where they built, I think there's a Stevenson's rental there now, if I'm not mistaken. And this story has nothing to do with anything. Cool. So again, all commercial retail. Now I'm going to zoom out here because as you know, there is Big box here, but what about all these houses? What about all these houses here? Well, for those of you that haven't been living in a cave for the last 3 years, Simpsons line coming up, ready? A cave on the moon with my eyes closed and my hands over my ears. I believe that was Sideshow Mel. There's an LRT coming, and that is why I want to try to value this darn thing. So, $1,180,000. It's a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom house. It's a detached bungalow, or I guess they've added this little half story up here. So let's take a look at the photos themselves. So there you go, huge driveway, 30 by 125 foot lot. Oh, hello, we have plans to build up a level. Now this is where things get really interesting to me. So it's a typical bungalow, right? Like it's the layout, you can see baseboards, trims, etc. They're all original. They've slapped in here some new counters, and to be honest, this probably looks better than it is. Right? This is a mishmash of an original Leaside bungalow where somebody years ago slapped a half story on it, and they're selling it with plans to throw up a full story. There you go. So this looks like a 2-story house, but it's not. As you can see, they've just kind of bumped this out. I'm going to turn that off, guys. Give me 1 second. There we go. So there you go. 2 things to consider here. One, are we going to buy this and actually build that 2nd story? Which is what we're looking at here. Are we going to build this and buy that 2nd story? And I guess 1A and B would be, A, are we going to live in it? B, are we going to sell it? And number 2 would be, are we going to buy this and are we just going to hold on to it? Because when this LRT is done, somebody's going to buy all this stuff up. And they're already starting, believe it or not. I don't have the time or the wherewithal. I can't even tell you how crazy my life is right now coming back from vacation, which wasn't really a vacation because I kind of worked a lot. But I don't have the time to go through and check the names on all of these houses, but I mean, you'd be a fool to not just assume people are land banking this. There's no question people are land banking this. So why isn't someone land banking this? Is it too expensive? Or is this particularly in a spot maybe where the land bankers don't feel that they can, build up the way they want to? So as I said, if you were to look here between Sutherland and Laird, this is already commercial retail. This is residential. If the zoning's different, or if somebody thinks, let's say, well, this is perfect, we've got an alleyway here, right, which separates this section from the residential, and we can do what we want here. Do we want to build a mall? Do we want to build a condo? Do we want to, bastardize the entire history of Leaside for all we care? Then over here, well, these are backing on to somebody's backyards because we don't have this lane. So it remains to be seen. But my point is, this is so difficult to value because it's $1.2 million for a bungalow on Eglinton. And forget about the fact that right now Eglinton's a disaster. The amount of traffic, the amount of construction, and that'll continue for however long. That ordinarily would be what I'd lead with here. How do we value this? Because there's so much damn traffic, there's so much inconvenience. And I'll come back to that with another property. But I think for this one, the question of how to value it is, are we valuing it to build this thing up now and either live in it or selling it or rent it out? Are we valuing this as a long-term buy and hold? So let me show you something here. I wanted to go back 10 years. So here's 716 Eglinton. Okay, it's 5 doors down. Not the band. Well, that was 3 doors down. $422,000 in 2009. So we're 9 years and we've almost tripled. This would be roughly, what is that, $1,160,000 and we're at $1,080,000. That's over 9 years. So say in a decade, it's tripled. The price of real estate hasn't tripled in a decade, right? We know it hasn't tripled. But that's what the LRT has done. So if the value of this has tripled in a decade, and let's say in the last decade, real estate prices on average of, I don't know, doubled, or maybe they're up 115, 120%, it sure isn't triple. That's what the LRT's done, and I'm trying to figure out if there's more value here and more appreciation to be had, or if these are people that, probably bought this thing for a song and are just looking to cash out. Okay, let's move on to the next one here. So we got 30 Helendale Avenue. So you can already see where I'm going with this, but let's just go to it, okay? Yeah, we've got this. We've got a condo right towering over top of us. Believe it or not, guys, this here is the end unit on Helendale. So let me go to the map and you can see this is right in the middle of Yonge Ave, which, hey, that's an amazing location. But would you believe if I told you that Helendale was actually, or is actually, because I haven't been up there recently, shut down? There's so mumuch condo development going on in this area. Yeah, I'm positive it's Helendale. This here's a condo. This here's a condo. I did a blog a while back. Oh God, could this have been 2016? No. I'm gonna dig that up. either February 2016 or February 2017, my buddy and I got in the car, drove around, made a list of every single condo development and zoning application, and all of Young Egg is being redeveloped. I think that was 2016. And I basically showed there's like 10,000 units that are going to be coming up, which begs the question, how in the world is the city planning to add that many residents to the subway system? Oh yeah, they're not. Or what about the sewage? Think about it. I'm going off on a tangent here, bashing the government, but there is so much that we need our government to do that they're not doing. Why don't we add to it, throw 50,000 more people every single day in the same subway and have all those toilets flushing and sinks draining into the same sewer system? Anyways, right, so Helendale, right here, closed off. Imagine you live in this house and for 4 years, because someone's building a condo, you cannot turn onto your street. So let's zoom in here and you will see what I'm looking at. Actually, let's go with this guy here. Hello. Here we are, 30 Helendale, welcome home. And we're building next door. So as you can see, this was taken before the tower went up. I mean, maybe you could argue that the damage has already been done, the construction is almost over with. Oh look, here in the distance you can see road closed, I told you. But you know, how long until these things are gone? Look, this is boarded up, okay? And so across the street you have what I think is a library, but this is boarded up, these are boarded up, this is all gonna be a condo. So again, how do you put a value on that? That's what I'm trying to get at today. So first you have just the insane amount of development going on. Then you have the fact that a condo towers over you. These are gonna be redeveloped, and oh yeah, they also want $1,450,000. So it's only a 2-bedroom to begin with at $1,450,000. It is pretty nice, I'll give it that. So take a look. Like, I'm not bashing this thing, and with the price of real estate at Young Egg, it's actually a pretty good deal. Because what did I see today on Lillian? $1,100 a square foot for a 1-bedroom condo. It was 2-bed, basically turned into a 1-bed. It was somebody that had a great idea of the layout they wanted, and now they're trying to get the market to agree with what they wanted. But I mean, relatively speaking, I hate this shot. This is literally a shot from the floor. This thing's not bad for $1,450,000. It may only be a 2-bedroom, but it's a townhouse at Young Egg. I mean, again, compare that to other world-class cities. You could not be more in the center of, oh, I'm not feeling very creative today, and I'm going to show what little I know about New York. Tribeca? Oh, what did I read? Tribeca is short for Triangle Below Canal Street. I read that on the airplane yesterday. So I don't know what Young Egg would be the equivalent of, but something uptown. Central Park West, Central Park East. So here you go, backyard. I'm basically talking over this. It's not bad. And then for some reason they've got a picture here of the development. It's being built right there. Okay, so guys, I don't know how you value this thing. I mean, that's kind of the topic today. 28 days in the market, $1,450,000, no price reduction. Again, the summer's a weird time to bring something out, but I find it really, really hard to value this just based on the amount of stuff going on around there. So maybe it's a good long-term buy and hold. Again, looking at a 2-bed over 2 stories with a backyard, with parking, with a garage, steps to Young Egg. If you told me $1,450,000 for all that and it was a condo, I'd say you're crazy. It's phenomenal value. It's just the fact that it's a house and located where it is. Okay. See the theme now, right? Here's another one. Okay, so I drive by this every single day. 89 Moore. Moore. Okay, Moore. Yeah, we're in Rosedale. All right, I dig. I like this. I mean, yeah, it's kind of a stucco box, and somebody's dad built this, but yeah, Moore. Okay, Rosedale. I like it. Moore Park. Well, here it is. So, very fun here. It's on Moore, but it's kind of sort of not on Moore. Right? It sides onto Mount Pleasant. So here's the fun part. Let's go to the map here and click on this guy. Okay, so here's the house before it had the current stucco job. So it's right on the corner. Oh, and that fence. Oh, Google, this was so long ago. Where can you see? There it is, Google Street View, June 2009. Google, hello, 9 years is a long time. Are you guys just sitting around bouncing on, that's what I picture, just sitting around bouncing on balls, because maybe you do that for your posture. Or basically guys sitting at a desk and they're like, hey, do you want to go play ping pong so we can get the creative juices flowing? I saw that actually. When I was redoing my website, I interviewed a company and it was basically like that. They were like a quasi Google. They had a ping pong table, of course, and everything was really cool in there. Okay, so let's go out here. Maybe it'll change. Oh my God, look, new house, September 2017. It's funny how that happens. So now there's a fence. Someone was smart. They took this thing, they built up the fence because, can I go back here? Oh, So cool. So when you own this property, I mean, you are basically not using this yard because there's a car going 86 kilometers an hour literally right by. So imagine your kid's playing with a ball and they're like, oh, it reached over. Like, I don't want my kid anywhere near that thing. I'm literally that guy talking about kids all the time. So this is what I wanted to talk about. This bothers me more than anything. It's this. This is where the garage is. So this is so unfair, guys, because this is a 2-car garage in the city of Toronto. 2-car parking in the city? Are you kidding me? How much is that worth? But the problem is, you're on Mount Pleasant. And you guys know what it's like. I come up this way every single day. And the traffic is relentless. So imagine you're trying to, I don't know, back out in the morning. Now you're going to say, I won't back out. I'll back into my garage. But if you're coming from here, how in the world are you going to back into your garage? And if you're coming this way, and then you decide to back in, I mean, I guess you could do that at 2 in the morning. So it's just really, really tough because, I mean, the location's fantastic, but this is a non-starter. I mean, there's also no real backyard. Look, they've put a curtain up so they can try to make it a little bit private. So again, how do you value that, guys? I mean, how in the world do you value literally being right on Mount Pleasant, and this is your bedroom window, and that's Mount Pleasant, and you've got to park in this driveway? So again, we go back to this thing. It's listed at $1,628,000. It's been on the market for 62 days. It has not been reduced in price. 62 days in the market can't be wrong, right? How the hell do you value it? I honestly don't know. I'm just glad it's not me trying to do it. Okay, let's move on. This is fun. I like this. Okay, so here's another property, and this actually gave me the idea for the Pick 5 today because someone emailed me and said, what am I missing here? This is a detached house. You ready for this? Detached on detached 2.5 story on a 50 by 150 lot, okay, with a private driveway and no garage, but it's got a carport. So private driveway, it says 2-car parking. It looks to me like there's 9, and an in-ground pool. So let's just say, for argument's sake, I was like, hey, this is $1.7 million and it's in Lawrence Park. Doesn't make any sense, right? Does not make any sense. Well, as with the last few properties, there's a bit of a catch. And that, of course, is that it's on Lawrence. But it's not just on Lawrence. It's on Lawrence right next to one of the worst and most confusing intersections in the city of Toronto. Now, I read somewhere that the worst intersection in the city, this is years ago, Don Mills and Eglinton for traffic accidents. So, the worst intersection in the city, and then you brought the LRT in. I mean, I'm a pretty good driver. I'm at Don Mills and Eglinton, and I literally am like, there's a 14% chance I'm going to die in a car accident right now. People have no idea what's going on. That reminds me when I was in Wyoming, they have really weird traffic signals. You know how we have an advanced green means go? Okay, fine. They have an arrow that flashes go. Then they have an arrow that flashes in orange, which means go if you can. Then they have an arrow that flashes in red. Mind blown. What does that mean? You want me to go, but I can't because it's red, stop? No, what it means is that the orange one says go if you can. This one means stop first, then go if you can. Huh? Who says our two countries are so similar? Actually, that and a couple of women in the airport at Salt Lake City talking about Canadian change and going, now, do they have a quarter in Canada? Is there a quarter in the... So they do, but there's no dime. Oh, there is a dime? Do they have a nickel? Seriously? How'd they get so far? Okay, right. This traffic light, that really was a tangent. So, we're right on Lawrence. We're at this bizarre intersection. How do you value that? And that's the tough part. How do you value that? So if it was on Lawrence, and let me just say for argument's sake, it was here. Lawrence, I'd like to think this is a little bit slower, right? Because it's closer to Bayview, as opposed to Lawrence at this wacky intersection. I mean, what's the value of going Mount Pleasant and, I don't know, let's say that you go this way and you loop around, or no, maybe you would go, you turn here, go down Lawrence Crescent, across, over this way, and come back. But it's the same issue, right, when it comes to your garage. It's the same issue. So if you're driving in head first here, which it looks like this car did, how do you get out? How do you get out? Same argument, exact same argument as with the last property we saw. And there's that bizarre intersection. So I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. That's the fun part about today. I mean, the rest of the house, look, it's not bad. You want to take a look at the photos? Sure, it's staged because it's probably a little old. Leaded windows. We've got a drop ceiling here. We've got, brick floor. A little bit old here. So, you can tell by these pot lights that are probably from the 80s. So sure, it's old, right? And it's not move-in condition for those that desire more. I always hesitate when using move-in condition because I think about people that are literally living in their own filth in the middle of the forest in certain countries. And we're going, well, it's not move-in condition. Those people are like, I'm sorry, what did you say? I had dirt for dinner. Not to make light of it. I'm just saying that obviously we do have first world problems by the very definition. So to call this not move-in condition, not fair, but hey, look, I got to speak to the market that I am talking to. So keep going here. There's a weird loft, as you can see, and there's a pool down below. It's probably the nicest part of the house. How in the world do you value this? Here's my read on this one, guys. I think that this house is the highest and best use is to tear it down and build a brand new house, because it's not in good shape and it's cheap, relatively speaking. The issue is I don't see a developer speculating on this house. I don't see a developer, $1,699,000, 51 days in the market. I don't see a developer pulling this thing for, I don't know, $1.5 million and then building a new house for $1.7 million. Then you're in for 3.2, soft costs, transfer costs, etc. What's your end game? What's the $4 million market for houses on Lawrence like? I think that people looking at $4 million have a lot better options. I think that if there was a house that was 4.8 around the corner, someone would pay 4.8, and I just don't see it for the build-up value. So then it becomes, well, who's going to buy this thing as is? That's probably where this thing is going. Somebody that wants to be in Lawrence Park for the location, for the school district, or for the panache of saying that's where they live, probably going to end up here. But I just don't know how to value it. It also has an oil tank, which is not great. Okay, let's move on to one more. I'm doing pretty good with not going on crazy tangents today. 37 Don Valley Drive. Don Valley Drive. Where's Don Valley Drive? Well, first and foremost, it's here with this beautiful house. Just gorgeous in every way. Take a look at the photos. Your home. Oh, so nice. That chair looks so comfortable. I would never have time to sit in it. That's where my mind goes. Beautiful. Really great. Love these weird-ass pieces of art that people buy from winners to stage and then take back afterwards. So it's a great house. It's beautiful, except for the kitchen. I hate this kind of wood. Every time I express an opinion, I realize I'm offending somebody. When I say I hate this kind of wood, and you're like, frickin' blog guy, I liked him, till he went and crapped all over my kitchen. Well, I don't know why the southern accent. I just came from Wyoming, but I don't care for this. Maybe not this much. Sorry, this one is not as bad as some of the ones I've seen that are zebra wood. I just don't care for that. So other than that, my point is it's a great layout, and I don't like the purple. Classic staging table. And let's go upstairs. Huge master bedroom, vaulted ceiling. I like it. Very cool. And that's it. Okay, so they only have 12 photos, which is a pretty crappy job. So it's a great house. Like I said, your home and all that fun stuff. $2.5 million. Where's Don Valley Drive? Here we go. Don Valley Drive is right next to the Don Valley Parkway. Right next to the Don Valley Parkway. Yeah. So there's the rub, as was the case with all of these. But this one's a bigger rub because this one is a bigger ticket at $2.5 million. So this is, ready for it, a 267-foot lot. 267 feet. Unfreaking believable. 267 feet. I'm just going to point it out. It's kind of a funny looking house. Holy crap. That's the greatest house I've ever seen. I got to come back and screenshot this. I absolutely have to put on my blog. So as you might assume, this was a bungalow that was not taken care of that well. So this was in the same family since 1962. It sold, let me think, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, sold in 2013 for $612,000, and now you can see why. So they built a big monster house on that lot. Now, specific location, check this out. We are right across from the DVP. So I think I might have said, I can't remember 1 minute ago, that it was backing on the DVP. It's not. So here, let's zoom in on this. Here's a look at this from Geo Warehouse. So this is the lot, and as you saw, it had that huge bush out in front, and then there was the guardrail there in front of the DVP. So it backs onto here. So your backyard, I mean, you're still going to get the noise. You're still going to get the noise, but the backyard should be a little quieter. Now, don't forget, you still have Pottery Road down here. And I mean, this is not exactly a quiet spot. Like, think about, let's just go up DVP. Think about what this is like during rush hour. And think about how many cars are there. Think about the honking that goes on. You know, look, I live downtown, like, you know what it's like when you've got constant honking in intersections. So again, I look at this ticket and I say to myself, would you want to spend $2.5 million to have that asterisk, which is essentially this right across from you? So let's say that you're an optimist. There's no through traffic here. My kids can play hockey here. They can go exploring in the ravine, run out on the DVP. No, I don't want to do that. That's actually really not a good idea. Anyways, so that's it for this one, guys. All I can say is it's probably not the worst of the lot in terms of the, how do you value it? I mean, the replacement value of this home alone to build that thing, what is it, 3,000 square feet, 3,500 plus. I mean, I don't even know what people are spending these days to build, but it's got to be 300 a square. So the replacement value alone, I think, makes up the difference. You've got that huge lot. But for some people, it won't make up the difference. They just will not live across from the DVP. And you know what? To be perfectly honest, I might put myself in that camp. Okay, that's it. Hey, not bad for the first week back. A lot of tangents, Idaho, stop signs, etc. But I think overall you get the gist of it. And whether you are living in a condo or in a house, I think this topic appeals to everybody because there are some people that will not buy anything with an asterisk. I mean, look, I was in a tippy house. About a year and a half, no, God, this was 2 years ago. My daughter wasn't born. I was in a tippy house. And this is a sad story because these people never bought. But I was in a tippy house, and let's say that it was, I don't know, 700 grand. And you know what? We had a structural engineer in there that said, this house will literally move a millimeter each year for the next 7 or 8 years that you own it. And they passed because it was a tippy house. And that's probably worth $1 million now. And, you know, heavy renting, what can you do, right? I don't blame them at all for not wanting to buy it. That problem was they never ended up buying anything because they look back at that one and basically want that house not tippy in a better area, that kind of client. Another tangent. So there's that argument to be made for virtually every buyer out there. What will you consider? And real estate's all about trade-offs. I always say to people that are in that, we want a 3-bedroom, house under $1 million. Okay, but what will you give up? Will you go with no parking? Oh, you want parking. Will you go with an unfinished basement? Oh, you want a finished basement. Will you go with, just one bathroom? Oh, you want a second bathroom. You've got to give up something to get into the price point you're looking for, unless you have an unlimited budget, which people don't. So here we're looking at 5 properties that all have something really off about them. I'll be honest, I would probably not, I wouldn't say I wouldn't put any of my clients in any of these, but I would be the biggest devil's advocate you've ever met. Because if one of my clients was to buy something with this big an asterisk, where we're sitting here doing a pick 5 on it going, how do you value that? I would have a hard time sleeping at night, unless they absolutely positively loved it. And I would make sure that their parents do too. Okay, guys, I gotta run. Have a fantastic long weekend, and we will see you next week when the busy market starts. Bye for now.